about the bridge layer. I've pretty much, if I've had to recollect my life as a basketball player and what gifts God had given me as a basketball player, I could pretty much wear a ring on every finger when it comes to basketball. When I was in high school, I won 2 state championships with a still standing record of 75-0. And then I went on to the University of Southern California, where I won 2 back-to-back national championships and was recruited by primarily every university across the country. And then I went on to, after college, went on and won the national championship, and then went on to the Pan American championship, won a gold medal in the Pan American, won the Olympics, won a gold medal in the Olympics, and went on to ultimately win the world championship with the Detroit Shock as an assistant coach. But so ultimately I could wear a ring if I was into the bling bling on every finger. But when I talk to young people always pose the question, well, and everybody calls me coach. Coach, I just don't understand. Why is it that, and I'm the only female in women's basketball history that has won at every single level. And so, but people always say, and the question is always posed, well, what makes you different? What makes you different that when you show up in the place that you win? And what makes you different that once you're there, things change? There is excellence, the epitome of winning to be a winner. And I always tell young people, it's because of the fact that I understand that I am a bridge layer. People say, bridge layer. What is a bridge layer? Well, I'll explain to you the essence of a bridge layer. A bridge layer is a person that stands on one side of the horizon, sees the water before them, and then they say, I don't know how I'm going to get across, but I know I must move towards my destiny. I must move to the other side. And so bridge layers say, I don't know, but I know there's others behind me, and I must lay the bridge. I can recall when I was playing in Europe, my agent called me and he said, they're getting ready to start the WNBA. And I posed a question, and he said, but I don't think you should go because you're making more money over in Europe, and I don't think they can pay you at the end of my career. And I said, well, I don't understand. And I said, but no, I have to go back because I can recall when I was a child, I had a vision, I had a dream. I had a dream that one day I would be able to play in the WNBA as a professional athlete in the United States. And at that time, women only had opportunities to play professional basketball in Europe. And so I said, no, I have to go back. He said, but you don't understand. They're not paying you as much money as they pay you in Brazil and Europe. So I don't think you should go back. And that's what his job is as an agent. But I said, but you don't understand. I'm a bridge layer. I've got to lay the bridge so that others can come behind me. And see, I don't know who I'm talking to, but bridge layers are a different type of folk. Are just different type of people. And you can say, well, coach, if you say you're a bridge layer, and I think, I don't know, but I hear you talking to me. And a bridge layer, I found that if I had to put all the ingredients in a bowl and say, I don't know, but I hear that I understand what it is to be a bridge layer. I understand being at the bank and seeing my destiny, and no one has gone there before. But I'm a bridge layer. And I found that there's 3 characteristics of bridge layers. The first is I understand as a bridge layer, you're charting in places that people have never gone before. So the first characteristic of a bridge layer is the fact that you always have to have a spirit of excellence. Bridge layers have a spirit of excellence because they understand that they lay the groundwork. They're the first. I'm the first African American in my family to graduate from college. I understand that I'm the first African American to win at the professional level from worst to first ever done in history with the Detroit Shock. I understand that you always have to have a spirit of excellence. Because if you're the first, especially when you're African American, you know, the first fire chief, the first police chief, they'll always say, well, we tried that African American thing. And you'll mess it up and you'll ruin it for the ones that come behind. So I understand that bridge layers, the first thing is you have to have a spirit of excellence. And then I find that the second ingredient is that bridge layers understand that they know how to call on some bridge layers that have gone before. See, I was reminded that there was some bridge layers like a man named Martin who said that a man ought to be judged by the content of his character and not the color of his skin. There was a bridge layer named Malcolm who said by any means necessary. See, I understood that when people tried to block my destiny, that I had to do what I had to do because I was committed and I was a bridge layer. And don't get the sophistication or the degrees to fool you that I'm still a sister from the hood. And sometimes I've got to call on my hood skills. When Malcolm said by any means necessary, when people try to get in the way and block my destinies, haters trying to block my destiny. So sometimes, young people, you've got to call on Malcolm and say by any means necessary. And then for my females, sometimes, and I'm going to tell you that sometimes life is hard. I am a survivor of breast cancer. But sometimes, and I'm a woman who's been divorced and had to come through a divorce situation. But sometimes I've got to call on my ancestors. I've got to call on the bridge layers that laid the life before me. I've got to call on the ancestors of my sisters that are on the boat. I hear them saying, hold on, child. Hold on. Hold on just a little bit longer. I call on my ancestors. And then sometimes I call on Diane McGee, a teenage mother that had twins at 17, who worked for $1.25 an hour cleaning toilets. I've got to call on my ancestors to say it's going to be all right. And when the road gets rough, and as long as you live in America, who castrates and oppresses people of color, sometimes I got to call on my ancestors. I've got to call on Martin, who said a man ought to be judged by the color of his skin. I got to call on Malcolm, who said by any means necessary. And then the third characteristic, I've got to call on the true bridge layer. Now, I can't speak for you, but my bridge layer, I've got to call on a power higher than myself. You may call your God Allah. You may call him Zen. You may call him Buddha. I call my God Jesus because he was the ultimate bridge layer who bridged the gap between me and the Creator. I call on Jesus. So I don't know if I'm talking to you, if you're a bridge layer. But if you got the characteristics of a bridge layer and you say God has called me to be more than others, I've got to lay the bridge because God calls you to lay 3 bridges. There's 3 types of bridges that bridge layers lay. There's a bridge that someone laid for you to walk across, and I'm reminded of a 17-year-old teenage mother who sacrificed, who couldn't help me with my homework, but said, my babies will go to college. She laid the bridge so that I could go over. And then there's the vine bridge. that sometimes, sisters, we all got to do sometimes. And that bridge is when God tells you to align yourself and you get to the other side, you got to cut your losses. There are people that you'll have to let go because where God wants to take you, they can't go. So once you get to the other side, you cut the lines and say, you can't go where I'm going. And it's called a vine bridge. And then there's the bridge of destiny. You're the first, the only, and you created for others who come behind you. And so I call on my future bridge layers. You say, it sounds like me. I operate in a spirit of excellence. I call on the ancestors who've gone before, and I call on a higher power than myself. I call him Jesus. Well, then if it's you, stand up. Oh, wait, don't stand up if it's not you, because I may not be talking to you. But if you're a bridge layer, stand up and do the bridge layer salute. I'm a bridge layer. Oh, somebody need to talk to me today. Stand up and salute it. I'm a bridge layer. I'm a bridge layer. If you're a bridge layer, celebrate the bridges that you'll build. The first African American to be president of the United States. I'm calling on bridge layers.